Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of December 28th, 2026. The theme is the beast within, and there are three big things I'd like you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Mercury is going to enter the sign of Capricorn on January 1st. Before it does, it has quite a path through the last degrees of Sagittarius. Mercury right now is moving fast. Mercury rules our thought processes, our communication, transportation, and commerce. Words travel faster. People are going to be driving faster. Reactions happen faster. And situations can spin before we really process them. Mercury is in the sign of its detriment in Sagittarius right now. Its planetary strength is weakened. Sagittarius is a fire sign and it's mutable, so it's very changeable energy. It's instinctive. Now, it's fun and celebratory energy. I love the sign of Sagittarius, but mentally people are looser. There's less filtering. There's more impulsivity. They're saying things that come through their minds right out of their mouths more quickly without thinking them through. Sagittarius is the storyteller energy. Someone with Mercury in Sagittarius may be able to take you on a journey with words over the valleys, through the hills, and then weave this incredible tale. Now, Mercury is also traveling closely with Juno, the asteroid of partnership. It's the holidays. People are gathering, letting off steam, releasing pressure. Social energy is high. But this is a little intense during this week. It doesn't have just the joyful Sagittarius energy before it moves into Capricorn, because the first thing Mercury's going to do during the week is squaring Saturn and Pisces. So things that are said, Mercury, can bring consequences, authority, and discipline into the picture. Then Mercury makes a quincunx to Uranus in Taurus. Quincunxes are adjusting energy. They can feel a little erratic. The nervous system can be a little bit on edge. Uranus rules upheaval. It's a disruptor. So notice if your nervous system is a little agitated. Anything you can do to calm it down, whether it's through meditation, using the breath, going for a walk in nature, if the weather permits, can be really helpful to manage any internal frustrations. And then Mercury is going to square Neptune in Pisces, and they'll both be at the 29th degree of these mutable signs. Judgment can get really blurry because of Neptune. Mercury squares Neptune on New Year's Day, but New Year's Eve, people are going to be under the influence. I get the image of someone drunk setting off fireworks. So just be mindful of your safety, because intoxication, confusion, and misreading situations can become more likely. Now, on New Year's Eve, the moon is in Gemini, so people want to connect and communicate with each other. The moon, which was a mood of the people, is reporting back to Mercury in Sagittarius. So that amplifies noise, talking, drinking, and overstimulation. Large groups are going to get really loud, disinhibited, and somewhat out of control occasionally. So I'm encouraging you to just be mindful of your safety. 99% of people will be just fine. But in crowds, there'll be alcohol, fireworks, and reactive people. Now, when Mercury enters Capricorn on January 1st through 20th, the tone really changes. Things get quieter, more serious, and more sober. So something's happening New Year's Eve that is bringing in this sobriety on New Year's Day. I really encourage you, if you're even considering doing dry January, this can be really powerful. I don't drink anymore, but a few years ago, I used Annie Grace's alcohol experiment to do dry January. It was really great. So I suggest considering looking into that if you would like some support or more learning about why you drink and all of the subconscious things that go on internally. Mercury in Capricorn wants order, structure, a plan. This is excellent energy for planning the year ahead, getting organized, creating systems, bringing discipline into your daily life. After chaos, people want control again. So what this is going to mean for a lot of people, especially people who have planets around the last degrees of the mutable signs, and the mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, with Mercury squaring Saturn and Neptune during the week. They may feel really a bit of out of control and been a little extra restless or careless, or are ready to get some discipline back in their lives again. The emotional undercurrent is, now that Mercury is in Capricorn, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces. This can bring reflection, emotional processing about what was said or done when Mercury was in Sagittarius, and it spent a long time in that sign because of the retrograde cycle that went on November 9th through 29th. There may be feelings of a mental or emotional hangover. This is not a time to punish yourself. It's just integrating what lessons you learned. Mercury in Capricorn reflection prompts are, what did you learn? What needs to change? And how can you move forward more consciously? 2026 can be an amazing year for people, but the energy is chaotic. So the more you can stay on task with a plan, the better. So this New Year's Day is amazing energy for doing some planning and preparation on how you're going to move forward. The 2026 Lunar Planning Guide is a digital, fillable guide that walks you through each moon cycle with themes, major transits, and journal prompts so that you can stay aligned with the energy. And beyond the moon, it includes all the key astrology for the year, the retrograde, sign changes, and major planetary events that shape the collective story. If you're looking for a clear, practical way to stay organized and grounded, this will help you track your intentions and make sense of the shifting energies in 2026. It's only $22 and the link is in the show notes. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Chiron will station direct at 22.5 degrees of Aries on Friday, 5 days before and after the energy is most intense. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. In Greek mythology, he was half man, half horse, a teacher and a healer. He was rejected by his mother and he carried wounds that never fully healed, but he used what he learned to teach others. Chironic wounds often come in through early childhood. Everyone has Chiron in their chart, and it really speaks to this energy. These wounds don't disappear, but if we're working on understanding ourselves better, as we mature, learn how to work with it, and over time, we can use this energy to help teach other people from our own experiences. For people who were born when Chiron was in Aries, we're talking about wounds around the self. Aries has associations with the I am, its identity, independence, conflict, anger. This points to childhood experiences where expressing anger or autonomy was not allowed. If you spoke up, pushed back, asserted yourself, you may have been punished or shut down. This can create sensitivity around taking up space or trusting your instincts. You may also have issues around the head, like migraines or headaches, wounds with the face. Aries rules the head, the brain, the face, all these kinds of things. How it can show up physically is around this time, people may have headaches. So if you overindulged on New Year's Eve, you may have a really intense hangover or headache, more so than normal. Sinus pressure. You may notice vision changes around this time. Eye strain. This could be where you get the understanding that, I need to go to the doctor and get a new prescription for my glasses. This is a reminder to pay attention to your body. There's no need to be scared. Notice if you have intensity around any symptoms related to the head, because it could be your internal body telling you to get something checked out. I'm trying to bring awareness without fear. This is not about expecting the worst, but people are going to be more reactive than usual. The energy of this week is intense. Sagittarius is a yang sign. As Mercury is going through the end of Sagittarius, these hard energies come up with the squares to Saturn and Neptune and Pisces and the quincunx to Uranus and Taurus. Some people are going to be lashing out and more reactive as Chiron is stationing. Road rage, short tempers, impulsive reactions are going to be more common. Some people are struggling mentally or emotion. And so depression could be really surfacing. Or feelings of hopelessness. With Mercury square Neptune, people can be thinking, no matter what I do, nothing comes of it. Compassion is important for yourself as well as others, but so are boundaries. You may find you need to put boundaries down on some people with what they're saying or doing. In public spaces, be really mindful. Just slow down. Trust your instinct. If you're planning to go right, but your gut tells you to go left, go left. Chiron stationing direct is a great time to work consciously with our old wounds around the self. This is a great time to notice triggers without letting them run the show. Can you respond thoughtfully instead of reacting? Remember, healing doesn't mean the wounds disappear. We learn how to live with them with more wisdom, self-awareness, and care, and use what we've learned to help others as we move into our elder phases. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a full moon at 13 degrees of Cancer on Saturday. Cancer is a water sign. Water signs are emotional. Lots of emotions may be coming up. Full moons bring illumination. They are the culmination of the lunar cycle. Now remember, 2 weeks before this, on December 19th, we had a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. And now we have the full moon, which is full illumination. The sun, which rules our conscious mind, is at 13 degrees of Capricorn. And the moon that rules our subconscious mind is at 13 degrees of Cancer. At the full moon, the lights are as far apart as they can be. So something that has been building comes into view for each of us on this Cancer-Capricorn axis. Themes about security, that is a Cancer theme. Home, family, foundations, security, keeping ourselves safe. That's Cancer energy. Ambition, legacy, structures, governments, big business, the elderly. These are Capricorn themes. Capricorn asks us, what are we building? What are we working towards? How do we define success? Where Cancer says, what makes us feel safe? Where do we pull back? What do we do to protect ourselves? There's really a lot of intense energy in Capricorn because Venus, which rules relationships, what we desire, how we partner, is at 12 degrees of Capricorn. The Sun is at 13, and Mars is exalted in this sign and is at 14 degrees of Capricorn. So they're all lined up in a row, moving closer together. They're not going to meet until next week, but Venus rules peace, Mars rules war. And these two themes are going to be really coming into our conscious attention. I think people are really going to be noticing questions coming up about comparison. Venus compares. Mars rules competition and achievement. This is a Capricorn theme. Notice that things are coming up to you, and it could be while you're watching TV, having a conversation at a party, about how you measure yourself up against others. Who do you admire? Where do you feel ahead of others or behind? Where does competition motivate you to push yourself to achieve more or hold you back from taking any risks? This is keeping up with the Joneses energy. This is just a wonderful time to notice this. Also, look to where you have Cancer and Capricorn, 13 degrees of each, falling in your natal chart. The sun is shining in the Capricorn house, lighting it up. And the moon is in your Cancer house. So emotionally, themes are coming up on this axis. Pay attention to how you keep yourself small, ways that you choose safety over risk, how you desire comfort. Notice where fear of losing security may be keeping you from pursuing your goals. This is very important for the United States because the sun in the natal chart of the United States, and I use the Sibley chart, which most astrologers do, is at 13 degrees. The sun is a leader archetype as well as the identity of the country. It's conjunct the fixed star Sirius, which is the shining one, or the scorcher, and think about how the United States is both of these things. Ronald Reagan called it a shining city on a hill. That is so. The hill is Capricorn. The sun of the United States in Cancer is the shining one. There's a collective attention focused on leadership. What the leader says, how he's behaving, and how people emotionally respond to the messaging. Fixed stars like Sirius are amplifiers. Think about not just the country you live in, but the boss you have, or your father, mother, parents may be really coming up at this time. Is leadership expressed through clarity, inspiration, and protection, or emotional reactivity, anger, and incendiary language to think about? And why I say this is because the moon in Cancer is out of bounds, as well as Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all in the sign of Capricorn. When a planet's out of bounds, it's out of the declination of the sun. It's acting a little wild, answering it to itself. It takes on a Uranian flavor. This full moon can be incredible for witnessing and understanding some themes about how your family, a Cancer theme, really has impacted your adulthood. When we look at the moon phase families for this cycle, these 27-month cycles where the sun and moon are in hard aspect every 9 months, there may be a story that unfolds in your life. Think about 2 weeks before and after these dates I'm going to give you. The new moon in Cancer, where the sun and the moon were both at 14 degrees, was July 5th of 2024. About a week or so after that was when the President of the United States was the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. So themes about what happened back then related to that could be coming up now, especially as we move to this full moon. The first quarter moon, the sun was in Aries, the moon was in Capricorn, both at 15 degrees, April 4th, 2025. This was a week after a solar eclipse. There was all this stuff about the tariffs for homeland security. Aries, the attack on other countries, the tariffs, it was financial. The moon in Cancer with the purpose given to make us more safe. The full moon at this time, the sun is in Capricorn, the moon is in Cancer, both at 13 degrees on January 3rd, 2026. The last quarter moon of this moon phase family will be October 3rd, 2026. The sun will be in Libra, the moon will be in Cancer, both at 10 degrees. This will be during the lead up to the midterms. So working with this moon on the personal level, it's a powerful time for reflection, journaling, thinking about what you want to bring to light this year. What goals do I want to commit to this year? Where do I compete unnecessarily? Who do I admire? And what does that show me about my own desires? People who stay focused, grounded, and disciplined can make real progress and achieve goals beyond what they even thought possible. I highly recommend you consider getting my lunar planning guide. It's only $22 and it'll help keep you on task. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to get it today. But it's okay to slow down when the moon is in Cancer. Stay home if you need to get more rest, connect with people you trust, taking time to emotionally ground yourself, surround yourself with things that bring you comfort, baths, warm blankets. This can be really nice for that. The episode is called The Beast Within. Emile Zola in the 1890s wrote a novel titled this. Some of the core themes are the animal instincts beneath civilization, violence, rage, and compulsion, hereditary and unconscious drives, and what happens when social restraint fails. My intention is not to scare people, but we will see this come up in the collective around the world on New Year's Eve, where people are losing it. Zola believed humans are shaped by biology, environment, and inherited patterns. It's very in line with Mercury and Sagittarius squaring Neptune and Pisces. Containment is not sufficient anymore. Rationality dissolves and instinct overrides belief systems. There's also been multiple crime and psychological thrillers with the same title. Someone wrote a book about it and how they conquered their depression, which they called The Beast Within, through techniques they share in this book. Emile Zola's novel explores what happens when instinct and inherited impulse overrides reason, revealing how thin the veneer of civilization really is. One of my greatest joys is helping people understand themselves more fully. If you're wanting to make sense of your past, recognize the patterns that have shaped you, or get clearer about the path ahead, astrology can offer real insight. In our sessions, we'll use your natal chart as a map. You don't need to know any astrology at all. You can book a single session for clarity or choose a cosmic coaching package if you'd like ongoing support as you grow and plan for the future. Book your sessions at astrologybyceleste.com on the services page. On Sunday, the word of the day is reactive. The song playing in my head was Emotion by the Bee Gees this week. We start the week with an Aries Moon, a fire cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are initiating energy. People can be taking action. Shadow Aries energy is impulsive. And with the Moon in Aries squaring Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, both at 21 degrees, Jupiter makes everything bigger. Cancer is a water sign. Emotions can be really big. Then the Moon meets Chiron retrograde at 22 degrees of Aries. People just may be very reactive internally. Just notice in yourself what's going on. Be careful with knives and fire. On Monday, the word of the day is critique. We have a Taurus Moon at 3:57 a.m. Pacific time. Taurus is fixed Earth. So if you've been kind of reactive before or noticed someone else are reactive, especially if you have little children, they may calm down. Now, the Moon will square Pluto in Aquarius at this time, so subconscious themes are coming to the surface about what's going on internally. And Mars in Capricorn is trying the South Node in Virgo at 11 degrees and 11 minutes, which I think is interesting. Try to remove all restrictions. So there's easy flowing energy to be critical, but with the North Node in Pisces, which is sextile Mars, and Mars's energy and drive, there can bring in compassion. So rather than being critical of yourself and others, how can you take a step back using the nodal energy, examine strengths and weaknesses about whatever you're contemplating, and offer feedback and interpretation without too much judgment? Mercury and Sagittarius will square Saturn and Pisces, both at 26 degrees on this day. So there's energy for thinking or speaking. Words can be spilling out because it feels like containment is gone. The mind can be trying to outrun sadness and failing. Big feelings can have nowhere to land, and people can be feeling somber or depressed on this day. Just note that there is some serious energy. The news will be layered in with stories that are difficult, but it's a great time to be making lists with Mars and Capricorn trying the South Node in Virgo about how you can separate the wheat from the chaff, cut the fat, be intentional with what you're doing and moving forward with. On Tuesday, the word of the day is gargoyle. We have a gibbous moon at 24 degrees of Taurus, and that's conjunct the fixed star Algol, which is the Medusa myth. There's also Lilith symbology about women not being subservient. Archetypally, a gargoyle is a watcher, a guardian, something that holds the heavy, ugly, and frightening stuff outside of the structure. It sits on the edge of buildings. It's a part of us that keeps watch over overwhelming emotion. It absorbs grief, rage, and fear and chaos, so structures don't collapse. Donald Trump is a gargoyle type figure. People voted for him even though he's so ugly and nasty and angry. And I think there are going to be themes of coming up about the folly of thinking he can hold this stuff outside because the beast is really within. There's a lot of darkness around our culture, especially our relationship with violence. Americans are armed to the teeth. I got themes of the Groypers. This is the nihilistic groups. There's also anarchists. Mercury rules young people. That's why I'm focusing on this. And Mercury in Sagittarius, in the sign of its detriment, New Year's Eve, we're going to be seeing young people acting kind of wild. On Wednesday, the word of the day is fireworks. I got the song Katy Perry Firework. Come on, let your colors burst. So this is really perfect energy. So this energy, when Algol is activated, people are dealing with difficult situations. It is the most feared fixed star that throughout history has been associated with difficult themes like big weather events, catastrophes, violence, wars, not trying to scare people, but the energy this week is difficult. And I think people come to me because they want to hear the truth rather than some sugar-coated fantasy about how everything's happy, happy, happy. The energy over this week is a bit intense for a lot of people. So this is very explosive, chaotic energy on New Year's Eve with the moon in Gemini beginning at 5:12 a.m. Pacific time. Gemini is mutable air. Air's job is to communicate and connect. Really be mindful driving. The moon in Gemini is square the nodes, the north node in Pisces, the south node in Virgo. How can you keep yourself under control, Virgo, while if you're imbibing Pisces? Look both ways when crossing the streets. Pay attention to cars around you. Last year, New Year's Eve, there were several terror attacks in the United States, and I think people are going to be planning and trying to do the same thing this year. Have fun, but just be mindful of your surroundings. On Thursday, the word of the day is projection. Happy New Year! I'm getting the song, Give Up Your Troubles, Come On, Get Happy. How can you bring some joy into your life on this day, especially if you're feeling kind of glum? This is the day Mercury at 29 degrees of Sagittarius squares Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. This can be very creative energy for people mentally. People may be saying, I'll never drink again. Can you think about how can you be compassionate rather than critical? Think about what you project onto others that is inside of yourself. Mercury enters Capricorn at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time. There is a big vibe shift. The Gemini Moon will square Saturn and Pisces, so people are feeling contained in some way. They're mourning something. They're coming up against some boundaries or restrictions with Saturn. 2026 is going to be a year to remember. On Friday, the word of the day is teach. In the middle of the night, the Gemini Moon squares Neptune and Pisces. You may have really vivid dreams. Gemini rules children, education. You may be thinking about a childhood friend from primary school. There's also associations with siblings. So really pay attention to your dreams. Then the moon moves into the sign of Cancer at 5:08 a.m. Pacific time. Cancer is cardinal initiating energy. You may have a desire to seek comfort. A great day to make some soup or get in water somehow. This is the day Chiron stations direct at 22.5 degrees of Aries on a world point. So there will be some news related to this. Be very careful with fire and knives. This happens at 6:37 a.m. Pacific time. Notice if you're having any physical symptoms like headaches or blurry vision. This can be your body telling you you need to get something checked. The Cancer moon is opposite Mercury in Capricorn at 1 degree. Notice what comes to your conscious attention about your family, your environment, your home. On Saturday, the word of the day is nostalgia. It's a lot of emotions as the Cancer moon opposes Venus. Then we have the full moon at 13 degrees of Cancer at 2:02 a.m. Pacific time. Emotions that have been held back can spill over. It's conjunct Sirius and the U.S. Sun. So really notice what's going on in the news you're reading about the country. And then the moon meets Jupiter retrograde at 20 Cancer. Then the moon opposes Mars in Capricorn, and then it meets Jupiter retrograde in Cancer at 20 degrees, and then squares Chiron in Aries. So this is a really intense full moon. I think it's a great opportunity to share it at home with people you love, talk about the past and really nostalgic stories that bring you happy memories, or just working through emotionally some of your triggers or things that impact you. Great time to do some journaling. There's going to be intensity in the news, whether it's weather or people acting out. But I hope you have a beautiful week and a happy new year. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.